All right, welcome to the third alcohol ink layer video. Now, this segment was completely recorded, and due to an error on my phone, it's lost in digital space, and I didn't actually realize it until I was finished doing the resin over top of my third alcohol ink layer. So it's actually been done on my piece, but you didn't get to see it. So I have a piece of black synthetic paper. This is what it is right here. Just to show you what I did on it before putting my resin layer over top of it. And really, I only used the Tranquil alcohol pearls and my pearl mixative. I had my black on hand just in case I found that I wanted to get a little bit more, take a little bit more of the background back, but I ended up not using it. Just so you know that that is an option. If you find it's getting a little bit too opaque and you want it to be a little bit more transparent looking, you can add some black to it just to get that look and feel. So I'm going to put some, I've already got my masking fluid, I've got my liquid latex on this piece here. So I'm just adding both the pearls and the pearl mixative. And it's going to look a little bit different than it does on the piece simply because I don't have the layers below it. But this is what I ended up doing, is I just put the blue on the bottom, the pearl on the top, and I used my blower tool lightly to blow the top down and the bottom up. And then I just kept doing that until I liked the look of it. And this is definitely going to be more transparent because it's got the black behind it rather than the other layers. But to be honest, I actually didn't end up working it too much. And if you remember when I masked it, I masked probably about a ½ inch around what I had previously because I wanted it a little bit bigger. And you can see that there's no lines left. So that worked absolutely perfectly. And then my little tentacle things here, I'm assuming that's what they're called. All I did was fill in the little well that we made with my, first I did the pearl all the way up, and then I put some of the blue just part the way down. There we go. But you can see, so I did it probably about this far down. But when you look at how they turned out afterwards, they did exactly what I wanted them to do. They ended up being a little bit irregular. They were definitely narrower than the ones that were done on the second layer. So they ended up doing exactly what I wanted them to do. So this, while it's still drying, you can continue to move the bottom part up and the top part down, adding more if you desire it. This is fairly wet, so I don't really want to pull all of my liquid latex off just because I don't want to mess it up. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping this piece. But once you're ready to pull it up, and I can't remember if I've already shown this. I've done so many things that it's one of those things that sometimes you can't remember what you've done and what you haven't. This is as easy as it is to pull up that liquid latex and the masking. It's just, it really is almost like removing a face mask. So that's all it is. It comes off super easy. It's a little bit more challenging on the tentacles just because they're thinner layers. But what I did find, and I think this is dry. No, it's not dry. What I did find, I might ruin this, but that's okay, is by rolling it once it was completely dry. You need to make sure it's completely dry, otherwise you're going to be transferring ink around. Roll it up so you have a piece to hang on to, and if by chance it breaks part the way through, you can just roll it up to start another piece. But it did come off fairly easily. But there you go. So that is what was done for the third layer. And then I sprayed it with the Kamar a few light sprays, and then once those were dry, I let them dry in between. Once those were dry, I did a couple sprays or a couple layers of my UV spray, and then let that sit for at least 24 hours before going on and doing my third resin layer. So there you go. Now you can go watch the resin layer.